Alright, yeah, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today, we're going back into the past, back into the old Dominaria days with a deck that most of you will probably be quite familiar with. I know I had a lot of subscribers from this particular deck back in the day, around about Dominaria Standard, I think it was. We're going to be playing Paladin Combo. Yes, Paladin Combo. It's changed quite a bit since we last played it. Last time we played it, it was a black-white deck and had a fair few tutors to find the combo. But the combo itself was easy to interact with. The idea was that we would have Famished Paladin, being the namesake card, a 2-mana 3/3 that doesn't untap during your untap step, but whenever you gain life, you untap Famished Paladin. So as long as you can kind of give it lifelink, it has pseudo-vigilance. That's cool and all, and that, you know, makes its overstated and downside, you know, come together in a really nice package. But we can also do something extra with it. So if you can give it lifelink, and we have plenty of ways of doing that, we'll get to those in a second, we can attach Sorcerer's Wand to it. Sorcerer's Wand is a 1-mana equipment, which we can equip for 3. It says, this creature has tap. Deal 1 damage to player or planeswalker. If it's a wizard, it deals 2 damage instead. Paladin is not a wizard, so Paladin can only deal 1 damage to a player or planeswalker with this ability. But what that means is because it's written as this creature, that means that Famished Paladin with lifelink is dealing 1 damage and gaining life, and when it gains life, it gets to untap. When it gets to untap, it gets to tap again with Sorcerer's Wand, and then you have yourself an infinite loop of infinite damage, infinite life gain, and that's the game. We can do this, I think, as early as turn 4. I'm not sure if there's a way to do it turn 3. I guess you could add some Mana Dorks, perhaps, and maybe you could get there with, like, Gilded Goose and Llanowar Elves. Not quite sure. I haven't really tested that theory out. It's not really been a thing that I needed to do, to be honest, because the one thing that's changed since Dominaria Standard is that this deck has gained some consistency. I've considered coming back to this deck quite a fair few times, because along the way we've gotten a lot of pieces for this deck. So one of those being the alternative version of Sorcerer's Wand, being Porky Parrot from Ikoria. This kind of convinced me to come back to it a little bit, but I didn't. I ended up playing other stuff. This one can mutate onto a non-human, so onto Famished Paladin, and that creature gains, this creature deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of times this creature is mutated, so it deals 1 damage, and if it has lifelink, it does the untap. So it performs the same function as Sorcerer's Wand. That didn't quite get me to come back, because, well, I still only have 1 copy of Famished Paladin, and the inconsistency there tilts me to no end. Fortunately, with the new D&D set, we got Lurking Roper. Lurking Roper is a 3-mana 4/5 that doesn't untap during your untap step, and whenever you gain life, you untap Lurking Roper. Does that sound familiar? It should, because it's the same card, but this one is 1 mana more expensive and has better power and toughness stats. That means we've got 8 copies of the Paladin side of the combo, and we've got 8 copies of the Sorcerer's Wand combo. That, for me, is enough to come back to it. Now then, we still need to give lifelink. So how are we going to go about doing that? Well, I was going to bring this around when the D&D set came out, but then we started getting jumpstart spoilers, and so I had decided to pull the brakes, wait a little while, because I knew that there was a couple of cards coming that we'd want to play with it. So, before we used to have like a 3-mana aura that gave lifelink and made a vampire. I think that was like the best thing that you could put on Famished Paladin at the time. Now we have lots of options. We've got a single copy of Shadow Spear, which when equipped gives trample and lifelink to your creature. We have Rune of Sustenance from Kaldheim, which gives a permanent of your choice lifelink, and it'll draw a card when it re-enters, so it's a nice redraw to help us find all of our combo pieces. We can also attach it to a permanent, and if that permanent is an equipment, that equipment gains equipped creature has lifelink, so it performs its task even when it's not attached to a creature. We can attach it to an equipment, which is why we're running Shadow Spear, and it's also really good at attaching to Sorcerer's Wand, because that means that Sorcerer's Wand has lifelink and the ping ability attached into it, so all we have to do is equip that to our Paladin and Roper, and it's good to go. So that's pretty cool. We also have, from Ikoria, Splendor Mare. 3 mana, 3/3 with cycling. Whenever you cycle, you put a lifelink counter on a creature you control. So on the end step, we can cycle, give one of these lifelink, and then equip on our turn, win the game. From Jumpstart, however, we got Leonin Sanctifier. Leonin Sanctifier is a digital-only card. So if you have a problem with digital-only cards, you can cut this one out if you do want to play the deck. There are obviously slots in Splendor Mare and the Rune of Sustenance where you can fill these 3 copies, but I find this card to be particularly useful. It's a 2 mana 2/1 with lifelink, and when it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature card in your hand, and it perpetually gains lifelink. So what are we going to do with that? We can, on turn 2, attach that to a Lurking Roper or a Porcupine, or a Famished Paladin if we want to play off curve, and give lifelink. If you have choice between Lurking Roper and the Porcupine, you want to pick the Porcupine because this is going to be the last thing you play before you win. Lurking Roper comes down and can be interacted with a little bit more frequently. There's more time for your opponent to do something about Lurking Roper than there is about Porcupine. So if you get the choice, put it on Porcupine. Otherwise, it's going to be on one of our Paladin-based creatures to give them lifelink, which basically gets rid of the entire downside of this card once and for all. And it's a 2/1 lifelinker on the board that helps us stay alive. This card is pretty stupid for this deck, and I love it. And yeah, very excited. The rest of the deck is our flex slots. As you can see, there aren't that many of them. So it's not going to take me long to get into this. We got 4 copies of Skyclave Apparition to give us a little bit of interaction with our opponent. So if they're playing 9 lives Solemnity combo, we can't kill them. However, if we get rid of Solemnity with Skyclave Apparition, suddenly all we have to do is hit them 9 times. We can also hit like Leyline of Sanctity. We are going to be playing in the casual queue, so you're going to see all sorts of nonsense probably that wouldn't normally see play in there. So you can hit anything that would kind of give your opponent hexproof, like, you know, Shalai or anything terrible like that. Anything over 4 mana that's going to prevent us from winning the game is probably going to win our opponent the game anyway. We're a very fast combo deck that doesn't interact too much, so we don't really want to be going past turn 5 anyway. So I like the idea that this thing can just hit just about anything. Otherwise, you could go for like a Banishing Light. But again, this is another 2/2 body on board that can keep us alive in the early game. So it has value to me in that regard. We got Selfless Savior. This will help us keep our creatures alive as well against burn decks. Another target creature you control gains indestructible until the end of the turn when you sacrifice Goodest Boy. So we can get that out on turn 1 to protect our turn 2 Famished Paladin, for example. We got Rune of Speed as a bit of a flex slot here. This one acts the same way as the Rune of Sustenance, except for instead we get +1/+0 and haste. That means if we attach the Rune of Speed to Sorcerer's Wand or Shadow Spear, whenever we equip the Sorcerer's Wand or Shadow Spear, the equipped creature gains haste, which means we can combo off the turn that Paladin comes out. So one of the downsides of this deck is usually that we have to wait for Summoning Sickness to be removed off of our creatures, which gives our opponent time to interact. If we've got the Rune of Speed on the Wand or the Shadow Spear, there is less time for our opponent to do something about it. More likely is the case that our opponent needs instant speed removal or they die. So really nice piece there. Otherwise, it's just a nice redraw. I really like this as a 2-of for the deck. And then finally, Valakut's Awakening. Put any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your library, then draw that many cards +1. We're a combo deck. We are a 3-card combo deck. We need to find our combo pieces. Valakut's Awakening does an excellent job of helping us do that. Only 2 copies though, because it is going to be a stand-in for some of our lands. I think with this included, we have a grand total of 25 lands for Valakut's Awakening. Oh, you reset my deck. Look at that. A grand total of 25, because we need to play 4 lands in a row. We can't afford to miss land drops, so we can't afford to at least go below 24. So Valakut's Awakening sometimes will become a land. Other times it's going to find us our combo pieces and find us our lands anyway. Yeah, that is the deck. For those who have seen this deck before, what do you think of it now? It's it's a whole lot different, right? I'm very excited to play around with this one, though. It looks like it's got a lot of extra pieces, so it should be a lot more durable against interaction-based stuff compared to what it was before. It used to be very janky, but it was also very good in a format that won on turn 4, because back then, not many things won on turn 4. Historic has a lot more nonsense to deal with. In fact, we've got like Vesperlark combo that draws the game on turn 3, for example, and wins the game on turn 3, right? Yeah, because you got turn 2, Blood Artist, turn 3, Vespal Archivoke, Davriel's Withering win. So that combo can outrace ours, which is kind of why I'm playing this one in the casual queue, because I'm sure many people in ranked will be teching against that nonsense as much as they possibly can, which means our deck's going to suffer for that. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you do, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. If you know anyone who would enjoy this combo, maybe someone who watched it in the past, one of your friends, make sure to share the video around. It does greatly help out the channel, so I do very much appreciate that. Hope you all enjoyed today's video. Strap in and enjoy. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Okay, we're in, and we've got the full combo in hand. We're against Gigantha. Yep, this hand is perfectly keepable. So we go turn 1 Sorcerer's Wand, turn 2 attach the Rune of Sustenance to it, so that when it's equipped, it gives lifelink, and then on turn 3 we play a Roper, which against Gigantha, if it's like Burn, they're not going to be able to deal with a 5 toughness creature all that easily. And then we got the win on turn 4. That's the hope, at least. My concern is that they're actually a sacrifice deck, and stealing and sacking Lurking Roper is not going to be too difficult for them. But they're actually Bard class legends, so they lose. I think it's pretty much as simple as that, honestly. We play the Roper. Assuming the Roper dies, we can actually attach the Rune of Speed to the Sorcerer's Wand, so that when we equip it, it gets lifelink and haste. So for 3 mana, that means on turn 5 we can play Famished Paladin, equip and win in the same turn. Opponent's going to get to splurge their entire board on, or their entire hand onto the board, but then they're going to die. Already have the win on board, my friend. It's as simple as that. They refuse to play anything. Not sure what to make of that, but let's see if we can win the game. Hit you for 1, untap. Hit you for 1, untap. And do this 18 more times. Oh, first game nut draw. You love to see it. It's a thing of beauty, it truly is. Oh, baby. Well, our opponent didn't make us play it out, but they see the writing on the wall, and they move on to the next one. As shall we. Alrighty, we have the win in hand. Right, turn 1 Selfless Savior, turn 2 Sanctifier, turn 3 Roper, turn 4 Porky Parrot. Get going. Yep, that's what that looks like to me. Mana base might be a bit sketchy, though, because we do have a Valakut's Awakening. I think it's kind of important to get the Selfless Savior down nice and early, so we have that protection, because we are essentially spending our mana every single turn, if we have our way. Turn 1 Arboreal Grazer. That's probably going to bode quite well for this matchup. Got spare Lurking Roper. So I'm going to go with the Leonin Sanctifier. So give lifelink to the Lurking Roper. I think that's correct. Or do you give it to the Porky Parrot? Whoever you give it to ends up getting... Like, if you mutate the Porky Parrot, you get the lifelink anyway. Maybe it's better to put the Porky Parrot into perpetual lifelink then. If this dies, then you've still got the other one. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Alright. You sold me. Because whatever your mutate thing does, it should bring all the abilities that it has over to the creature it's mutated onto. Assuming, of course, it isn't bugged. So, untapped land off the top for a nice, wonderful curve. Fantastic. So we got the Roper down with damage-based protection here. Might as well get in for 2 and gain some life. Could hit our opponent for 1. That matters a lot less. But yeah, 3 mana lifelink. Mutate here. Onto the Lurking Roper next turn. They're going to need Bounce Magic, Exile Magic. Roiling Regrowth is not the kind of magic that they are looking for. This deck is silly, and I love it. Loved it when I first made it back in Dominaria Standard. I think it was Dominaria Standard. And I still love it now. Alright, mutate. So if I am to be believed, I mean, I'm going to go over just in case, so it's still the Porky Parrot. Yes, still has lifelink. Alright. And that's the game. So I think you should technically put it on Roper, because Roper has an extra toughness, and that's actually all that matters in this scenario. But I'm a little afraid of bugs. I don't know if any of you who've been playing Arena recently have noticed, but the game is very buggy right now. And it wouldn't surprise me if that rules interaction has not been considered. So, just to be on the safe side, we're taking the win there in the safest possible manner. But you probably should have the Lurking Roper be the active creature, and it should technically still let you have the lifelink. So, yeah, pretty good. It does seem that the Sanctifier should always go on the Porky Parrot if that's your line of play. Typically, though, Porky Parrot and Sorcerer's Wand are competing for the same space, so it's not always going to come up. Sometimes Sanctifier does actually want to hit the creature side of things, so just keep that in mind, and we'll go on to the next one. Alrighty, we have 2/3 of the combo, so we still need either a Porky Parrot or a Sorcerer's Wand. But I think that means that this hand is fine. You can keep this one. So let's go Stomping Ground tapped past the turn. See if we're in a matchup where we have that time to find the cards that we're missing. Mountain and Scorched Spitter. Not particularly, but hello, hello, hello. Opponent's on what I assume is mono red, which means we're going to go Sanctifier and do the Lurking Roper. Yeah, I think that's the plan. Get a lifelinker that our opponent has to dedicate burn to. Put it on the Roper that's harder to kill. Because this is still going to be our turn 4 play, so this will be turn 3 next turn. We'll go down to 18 or whatever we're going down to. Plus the shock land. And then we just need an untapped land to win, otherwise we need an extra turn to win, and I think we're able to afford both of those. The one thing that we have to concern ourselves with is going to be Soul Scar Mage. That one can burn our creatures. Are you? How infuriating. Alright. That one can burn our creatures in an alternative method, where we actually get minus counters instead. It's not really going to matter, though, because as long as we've got 2 life to spend, we've got the win on board. I refuse to block, because you cannot kill me. Our opponent, I'm guessing, is playing like a Cavalcade list. That would be my guess. So, hit me for 2, hit me for 2 again. They can certainly have the burn to still kill Roper. I'm just going to make them have it because I have to. Light up the stage, Torbran and the Spitfire. They pass, they lose. We move on to the next game. Oh my god, this deck. How is this performing as well as it is? Down to 13. Equip up. 5 damage or die. I don't think there's a burn spell that does that. There is the newest one, the one with Delirium, that deals 6, but they don't have Delirium, so it only deals 2. And yeah, now it's just a matter of pinging our opponent down 18 more times, or waiting for them to scoop. 3-0. Quick way to do your dailies, I'll say. Yeah, this deck got a whole lot more consistent after it got Lurking Roper and so many more lifelink options and just everything. It's, yeah, it really received a lot of support. Is it still good, though? We're 3-0 in the casual queue. I'm not going to read too much into that, because I think that we haven't really gone up against the matchup that's bad. Although, to be fair, our opponent could have easily interacted with this Roper, and we'd have had to go on for several more turns that I don't think we would have survived. And the running infuriates, which is bad. But yeah, I don't know. I'm expecting we're going to see a bad matchup at least once today, so we'll find out what our bad matchups are. My assumption is that heavy interaction decks are very bad for us. Discard-based decks probably going to be really annoying. And, yeah, we'll figure it out as we go along. No doubt we'll find them. On to the next game. Alrighty, we are in. We've got two-thirds of the combo. We don't have a lifelink source. But otherwise, I think this hand is perfectly fine. It's redraw, mass redraw. Turn 1 play. I think you turn 1 play the Sorcerer's Wand. Over the Porky Parrot. Mostly because this one sticks around and doesn't require any creature nonsense. We get the Rune of Speed on the Sorcerer's Wand, so now anything that gets equipped by that has haste. Next turn we can play the Lurking Roper, perhaps. Or we could go with the Valakut's Awakening. I'm not going to be able to gain life and equip in the same turn. That's kind of abundantly clear. I wonder what our opponent's playing. Season of Growth kind of makes me think that it's like an old school green-white auras list. Which would mean that I have enough-ish time to pull off my combo. I might just wait. I think I'm going to wait. If they're going to kill any of my creatures, it's going to be via like Banishing Light effects and things like that. So we don't need Porky Parrot. We're not going to need Selfless Savior. We're going to redraw a land, most likely anyway, so let's push through it. Lurking Rope is the only card that I absolutely do need and can't afford to have replaced. Alright, so now we've got the Splendor Mare. That gives us the lifelink. So we played the Lurking Roper. We'll see what our opponent's got to do about it. Got Famished Paladin as a backup as well, so that's quite kind of nice. We got plenty of Sorcerer's Wand backups as well with the Porky Parrot. Kind of dead cards at this point, honestly. So if they do nothing, we basically just pass the turn. Maybe playing Famished Paladin. Depends on our land drop, I suppose. Basically pass the turn. End step. Alright, okay. They have a transformation. So now we play the Paladin, because this just lost all of its ability to combo. So now it's just a wonderful creature that we interact with. Boop. Play Famished Paladin. This is white to cycle, so we can't do that. So we're just going to go tap land here. It's 3 to equip on Sorcerer's Wand, so we can't do that either. There's Siona. If I draw a land, I win. I think is the case. They got a Cetessan Training, which is redraw and trample. Do they have another Kenris transformation? They do not. Alright, so we win with a land drop. About 40% chance of that happening. Plus we have a redraw. Fantastic. Alright, so we cycle. Giving lifelink to Famished Paladin. Shock in. Equip in. And win. The slowest of our combos, but we pulled it off nonetheless. We are now 4-0. Oh my god. Oh, they say the Withering combo is a problem. Wow. Oh, that cat is so upset. Every time. Just listen. Ah. Oh. I just feel bad. Opponent did everything they could, and their best just wasn't good enough. Famished Paladin. Just tap it in. Tap, 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 taparoo. Alright. Well, we got there. We played through removal. We played through some bad draws. Our opponent didn't have enough interaction, but you could kind of see how a secondary form of interaction would have been a problem for us. So, heavy interaction-based decks still likely to be an issue. Like, if they'd have hit Skyclave Apparition, I guess on the Sorcerer's Wand, we might have had a little bit more of an issue. But not a great deal, because we got the spare Porky Parrots anyway, so it's hard to say what would have really gone wrong there. We were kind of struggling just to find lifelinkers, but that's kind of the most frequent combo piece in our deck. I think it's 8, 8, 9, I think, as far as enabling creatures, tapping effects, and lifelink. So 8, 8, 9 in that, respectively. Alright, anyway, on to the next game. Alrighty, we are in. We have lifelinking and a tapping effect. All tap lands, though. I think it's not often you mulligan a 2 out of 3 combo piece hand, but I think the mana just makes this one awkward enough to do it. We've got 1 combo piece here. Got a bit of protection, a bit of removal. We're going to mull again. We've got our creature, our lifelink. We just need our tapper. So we're going to keep this one. We're going to go down. I like the safety of having Lurking Roper over Famished Paladin, just in case the 5 toughness matters. We do need land drops every turn, so I'm going to go down the Rune of Speed, even though it's the redraw of our dreams. And see if we can get a job done with this hand here. Selfless Savior for turn 1, I guess is okay. We'll get that out there. Against a white deck that's probably like Angels or Soul Sisters, it's not going to be too useful, but Lumbering Light Shield makes Famished Paladin more expensive. Well, we were planning on playing him on turn 3 anyway, so there is that. So, pay 2 life. Got a Valakut's Awakening as well, so we can dig for some combo pieces. So it costs more to cast, which means I might as well just put lifelink on this one, because this one's just got the better body anyway. The only reason why Paladin's better is because it's more efficient, and suddenly it's no longer efficient. I'll take your one. One's got a weird and wonderful little deck here. It looks like maybe a blue-white flicker list, maybe? With Soul Herder. So, if I went with Valakut's Awakening as a land, I can play Lurking Roper next turn, but I do forfeit the ability to dig through my deck to find our tapping effects, so our Porky Parrots and our Sorcerer's Wands. But I don't think we've really got a choice in the matter. I'm just going to get in with the token. I'm totally okay with that. In fact, I think I'm just going to do this, because what I expect our opponent to be doing is playing Soul Herder here and flickering the Illyrios to make more 3/2s. That's my read on why they did that. Overwhelmed Apprentice gets rid of my Wincon that was right on top of my deck. That's very annoying. Turns out when you have God draws, your opponent's milling the top of your God draw. It's quite effective. So we get to play Lurking Roper here. It's going to stop our opponents from attacking in. And we win if we draw Porky Parrot. Otherwise, we win in 2 turns if we draw Sorcerer's Wand. And so on and so forth from there. Alright, so they've got Ephemerate, so they make a 3/2. Ephemerate goes again, makes another 3/2. They're going to have to do better than 3/2s to push through my 4/5. I don't see a great reason why I wouldn't block with it, so... Overwhelmed Apprentice. If you mill another Porky Parrot, I'll lose my mind. Alright, we didn't want any of those, so that's good. 1 top, 1 bottom. Probably passing here. We drew a land. Alright, so we're now live for Sorcerer's Wand being an option. Do I want a Skyclave Apparition? I think I would sooner hit a Soul Herder, so I'm gonna just play out my other parts of my hand. The only reason that would be bad is if I drew Valakut's Awakening, but it's only a 2-of in my deck and we've already played one, so I'm making this play knowing that there is a 1-of in my deck that could punish me for it. I think the rest of it is just getting bodies on board. I think it's very useful. I guess that's also a thing. If I draw a Sanctifier, then then that's annoying. I can take a little bit of damage in the air just fine. So I don't really need to Skyclave Apparition anything just yet. Let's give lifelink to that. It'll cost 4 if they flicker the light shield. I could gain 4 life at any point if our opponent blocks with too many things, and then I sack the Selfless Savior, but we're at 16. We're only really taking 2 here. Got plenty of time for that. Alright, so Apparition is now 4 mana. Opponent's going to get in for 2. And do we win? Every single turn, it's do we win? We do not win this turn. Okay. Yeah, still not convinced I need to, well, really do anything, to be honest. I think I'll just pass. My board state's good enough. Lumbering Light Shield. It's the Famished Paladin, good. So one reason why I kept it in hand is because then I basically give myself a chance to have a cheaper Skyclave Apparition that I don't really want to use right now. And well, still nothing. Keep passing. You can still play Skyclave Apparition if they play another Light Shield. Take 2, down to 10. Gonna have to swing through just to gain a little buffer back, or even Skyclave the Guard Mage at some point. Master Splicer. Okay. This one gives +1/+1 to golems. It's not like the other Splicer. Rune of Sustenance. I can apply that to this Famished Paladin, I suppose. So now that has lifelink. Redraw. Not the win con. And, well, we don't really care about the 4/4s because we've got a 4/5, so I think it's time that we just go with the Skyclave Apparition, get rid of the threat in the air, and buy ourselves a lot of time. Unless our opponent has an Ephemerate. Okay. It's a real good hit for them. So, a little punish for trying that. It was always going to punish me eventually anyway, because why wouldn't they leave that mana open? Yeah, no attacks. Pass turn. Still waiting on that win con. They milled one of them. So we got 7 more in the deck. It's going to make 4/4 golems. Skyclave Apparition. Alright, so this gets around my Selfless Savior. I'm going to go after the Lurking Roper, presumably. Yep. One reason why the Selfless Savior could be better off as an Alseed, but I think the free sack for indestructibility is worth the upside. Offering trades with my Sanctifier. I'm totally okay with that. That's going to buy me a lot of time. My main concern is Skyclave Apparition now. I think all this is fine. Come on, top decks. I've had plenty of them. They've all been bad. This is the good one. Splendor Mare. That is a bad one. Alright, so we cycle. It's a redraw at the very least. I should really be playing my Famished Paladin, I think, because there's a chance that happens and this thing doesn't have lifelink already, so let's play this down, because I'm pretty afraid of just an all-attack here. Let's get empty-handed. Opponent's got perfect information, the better board. My draws have been terrible. 7 cards in my deck are good. It's like an 18% chance of winning the game. Yeah, so now I'm being punished for that line I took. I've just lost my lifelinker. And that's probably the game now. Now's the time where I will top deck the perfect answer. That is no longer perfect. I was going to do this, I think, and then save my Famished Paladin. We're at the point where we just see what our next draw would have been. Because now I need 2 draws. I need, like, the cycling thing that I just used for lifelink into... Well, Shadow Spear is a thing. That's the lifelink. Now I just need the tapper. But am I dead? That's the real question. Am I dead on board? It's my opponent's job to do the attacking. I'll figure it out as we go along afterwards. So here I'm not dead. I'm literally not dead. I don't have to block or anything. I guess I will just in case they've got a pump spell. They don't get anything out of this block anyway. Give myself the best chance of winning this turn. Here we go. Top deck of the century, Porky Parrot. We haven't seen one yet. It's a land. Alright, well, on to the next game. Some really bad draws there. Tried mostly our best, a couple of little bit of misplays here and there, but yeah. Wasn't much to do about it except for get outdrawn. Next game. Okay, we're in, and we have the full combo in hand, so there is literally no better hand than this. I'm sure there's a more efficient hand than this, but you can't ask for more than this. Alright, we're going to go tap land, say go. It's going to make all of our check lands come into play untapped. We go Sanctifier on Porky Parrot. Unless our opponent hits Sanctifier out of my hand. That's some RNGesus right there you can get behind. Right, let's go with Famished Paladin instead then, I guess. It's at least a blocker. I won't be committing much to it. Banishing Light. Yep. Actual god tier decision making for our opponent. I'm so happy they decided that was a good idea. So we're going to put this on the Porky Parrot, because that is the last thing that we do. The Lurking Roper can get Banishing Lighted and Skyclave Apparitioned all it wants. We still keep that life linking and pinging card in our hand. Charming Prince, probably flickering the... No, not flickering the Light Shield. Alright. You got very lucky on the last Light Shield one, so I would have taken my chances on it. Oh, that's just amazing. Alright, so now they essentially need... They need instant speed answers, right? At this point. Probably. We'll just hold back. We have infinite damage. I'm not concerned about trading a Charming Prince here. Yeah, it's Banishing Light or Bust, and then Banishing Light or Bust. So Bust is your decision. Okay. You have chosen death. So, Porky Parrot with lifelink. Now that we've won plenty of times, I'm going to see if we can actually have Lurking Roper on top. And see if it still has that lifelink. It absolutely does. The game is not bugged. Hurrah. We win the game. Alright. But I tried their hardest. We won through some removal. That's what happens when you've got extra combo pieces. You're less reliant on any single piece being interacted with. And they're all somewhat individually good. You know, Leon and Sanctifier gives lifelink to our combo piece. It's also a 2-1 lifelinker that stops early aim aggression. We've got our combo piece in Lurking Roper, you know, which is just an insanely good blocker. 3 mana, 4/5. You don't actually care about attacking with it, so the fact that it doesn't untap never really actually bothers you. And, you know, Porky Parrot, I guess, is just another creature that can do its thing. It's a 3/4. Less so focused on that one as an individually good combo piece, but yeah, we've even got the runes. They redraw. You can attach them to your equipment so that they maintain their ability and they're not just redraws when you're not attaching them to creatures. It all comes around. I do love this deck. We went, how much did we go? Like 5-1, something like that today. And the one was bad drawing. In fact, it was that game where the win con was on top and they milled it, and then we never saw it ever again. So, you know, we actually had a really good top deck waiting for us, but our opponent played a card that ruined the top of our deck. So, you know, the shuffle that we cheated with was no longer good. I was just looking at this shadow. I was like, oh yeah, that's the thing. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you've enjoyed, and if you have, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. This deck gets my seal of approval. It's pretty budget. I think the only non-budget aspect of it is the mana base, but if you're trying to get into historic anyway, I would always focus on the mana base because it makes its way into every single deck that you play nonetheless. So it's not really too much of an investment that you're not going to get your money's worth out of, but yeah, Shadow Spear, and I think that's it in the main deck. Oh no, Valakut's Awakenings, Skyclave Apparitions. Yeah, so a couple of answers. These are standard staples. This can be used in all sorts of stuff. It's used in Historic Neostorm, I think, occasionally. One of Shadow Spear, good brawl card. And the rest is the mana base. You can probably mix and match as you see fit. I've just found that the combination of dual lands here and basics has been really working for me, so it's pretty nice. It's pretty budget. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Like, subscribe if you have, and leave a comment down below what you've been playing with the new Jumpstart cards. I'd love to know. And before we go, I have a pack I can open, so I might as well open it for you guys. It's Kaldheim. I think this is actually just gems at this point, right? Oh no, it's not gems. It's a Yawn, God of Winter. Fair enough. Alright guys, take care and have a wonderful day.